Hello and welcome back to the Renovation Nation show, brought to you by Red Maples, your go-to source for institutional style property management of small multifamily rentals. I'm your host, Nathan Bush. In each show, I share with you some real life experience from the real estate investing world. We invite industry experts, innovators, influencers to explore the challenges and opportunities facing small multifamily real estate investors. We designed this show to answer the questions you have about researching your market, setting up effective management systems, and maximizing your returns. If you want more of these types of resources, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel or head over to www.nathanbushmba.com/subscribe. And also check out the resources in the links in the description. All right, if you guys have some questions today, I highly encourage you to go ahead and jump on here and ask the questions that you have throughout the day. Today, we're talking all about this concept of bricks. We're going to be talking all about your bricks, your real estate investing bricks. By the end of the show, I want you to be able to recall the bricks model when you're evaluating deals. The second thing I want to do is for you to be able to have a discussion with other people about the bricks models and help them understand, more importantly, when you go to your real estate investing clubs and stuff like that, how to use this bricks model. The last thing I'd like you to be able to do is to organize a deal with the bricks model. And I hope we can accomplish all of that in the short time that we have together this afternoon. So we're talking all about bricks today, your real estate bricks. Question for you: is your word as tangible as bricks? Before I get too far into the model and the understanding of how to deal with this and do all of this, we've got to do some mind work. And the mind work is your word like bricks? Is it as solid as bricks? Does it stand the testament of bricks? I want you to think about a story back from when you were a child. That story is the story of the Three Little Pigs. Do you remember the story of the Three Little Pigs? There were three little pigs, and there was a big bad wolf. These three little pigs decided they were going to build a house to protect themselves from the big bad wolves. In the first house that they built, I'm going to try to do art with a mouse, so I hope you can forgive me. The first house that they built, this house was made of what? Anybody remember? Throw it in on the chat if you guys remember online that are watching online. This first house was made of straw. And so the three little pigs are trying to protect themselves, and they go into this house made of straw, and here comes the big bad wolf. I'm a great artist when it comes to using the mouse to click things. And the big bad wolf, what, blows on the house, and that blows this house over. Do we want to have an investment strategy based upon straw? No, we don't want to have an investment strategy based upon straw. Then the three little pigs get an idea. They say, okay, well, the straw wasn't that good, but we're going to build a second house. This house is a little bit bigger. It's a little bit better. And this house was made of what? This house was made of sticks. And the big bad wolf comes and he blows on the house. And what happens? The house falls down and the three little pigs run away, and they have to come up with a third house. What did they build the third house with? Do you guys remember? If you remember what they built the third house with, go ahead and throw it in the chat there. Yeah, they built the third house with bricks. And by building the house with bricks, when the big bad wolf came along to blow on the house, what happened? Nothing happened to that house. The pigs were protected. They were safe. That's what I want you to think about when we're talking today all about this bricks model. I want you to think back to the big bad wolves and how they blew on the house. Core values are like bricks to your business. Core values are like bricks to your business. And I'm going to get into an investment strategy with you in just one second. But I think that it's so critical and so important. I think so many people make a major mistake when it comes to real estate investing, and they don't lead with their core values. They think they're going to wing it. They think they're just going to run out and do business, and they haven't actually taken the time to think through their core values. And so At Red Maples, we just have decided a long time ago that we had some core values that we were going to utilize in our business. And these are the core values that we stick by, and they become the bricks of our organization. Now, I'm going to give you a 6-step process in just one second, but we're laying some foundational work to this 6-step process. It's critical. All right. So the first thing that Red Maples does differently and why people enjoy working with our organization is we have a core value, number one, to do the right thing. That means in a real estate transaction and a deal, when we're trying to buy a piece of real estate, or if we're trying to work with an investor who's acquiring a piece of real estate, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the absolute right thing, the best thing that we know how to do. The second thing that we're going to do in our organization that makes us unique and different is we're going to seek out the truth. I don't do business behind cloak and dagger, the dark side of life. I don't go into situations blind. I don't like any of that stuff. I want to do business by seeking out the truth and understanding every aspect of what I'm dealing with. It doesn't do me any good to hide behind a facade of deceit or misdirection. When I was little, I used to do magic tricks. It's my dad, for some reason, got me extremely interested when I was younger in magic. And we used to go to shows. As a matter of fact, my family tried to get me to read for a long time. And the only books that I would read for the longest time were how to do magic trick books, because I like the art of entertaining other people. I didn't understand that there was a mischievous side to magic, and that was the trickery. Well, as we began to build and formulate Red Maples, we decided there's going to be no tricks. There's only going to be seeking the truth in every situation. And you need to do the same in all of your deals. The next thing that we have as a core value is a partnership approach. We want to have a partnership approach. Why do you guys think that we have a partnership approach towards doing business, and we don't just do business in a variety of different ways? We partner with people. Well, if those of you that are interested in the Caesar method of marketing that I have put together and developed and designed, you would understand that I personally believe that business is all about aligning interests. And so if you're going to align interests with other people, what better way to do that than to think about your relationships with other business owners as partnerships? If you're buying or selling or improving or declining, whatever the situation is, are you doing it through a partnership approach? And that's what Red Maples does. We look at things through the eyes of a partnership approach. Now, the next core value that we have as an organization is innovation. And we're always looking ways to iterate and improve the company and to seek out new ways to do things even better. Couple more core values that we have as an organization is, guys, I'm laying foundational work. I know you know about core values. I know that Red Maples is the organization that puts this show on, and it might feel like I'm presenting Red Maples. I'm not today. I'm laying some foundational work so that you can be like the 3 little pigs who finally build their house out of bricks. So the next core value that we have as an organization is building a sense of community. That's why we do this show. It's why we participate in groups like Tours and Pours. It's why we participate in organizations like the St. Charles County Real Estate Investors Association. These are groups and pockets and pools of community that we're participating in as a company that's based around our core values. We also have a core value of being a real estate investor, not a slumlord. We don't participate with slumlords. Our organization has fired clients that have been slumlords before. We just don't believe in it. We don't deal in it, and we don't do it. And then lastly, if you guys remember from the model here and the values that we have, is that we're rule followers. We're rule followers. And we want to be rule followers. It's so critical to our organization. And so we want to follow the rules of the municipality. We want to follow the rules of the agreements that we're a part of. Just being a rule follower is part of our core values, and it is what makes us uniquely different. All right. So back to bricks. What do I mean when I'm talking about bricks? Well, let's go through it today. I think it's a good, we laid some good foundation. We talked about it, but consider this. Don't throw bricks at people. Bricks is a process. So as I'm teaching you what I'm about to share with you this afternoon, I don't want you to utilize these bricks as an opportunity to injure others because you now know something that other people don't know. How many of you guys that are watching online right now would like to know some tools and techniques, not tricks, but tools and techniques that will help you achieve real estate investing goals faster, more transparently, help people have better relationships with you? If that's you guys, go ahead and put it in the comments that that's something that you're interested in. Just say me so I know that this is a topic that you guys are extremely excited about. It's a topic I'm extremely excited about. And just remember, before we get into it, that this episode is sponsored by Red Maples. That is our property management company that is an institutional style asset manager that shows you how you can achieve double-digit returns with your small multifamily rentals. If you would like an assessment of your portfolio to know where you're at, how are you doing with your bricks, go to www.red-maples.com/assessment, and we will get you an assessment of your real estate investment. So that's red-maples.com/assessment. All right, let's talk now about promise. You know, you said, Nathan, you were going to talk about bricks, and we are. But before I get into bricks, we got to understand something about our promise, our word. And I'm taking it to a specific point of understanding today that will help you be able to organize a deal around this bricks model. And so promise is so critical. Your word is so critical. What you tell people is so critical. Promises are like crying babies in a theater, according to Norman Vincent Peale. They should be carried out at once. There's a sense of urgency around this concept of promise. There's a sense of responsibility around this concept of promise. And promise is the way that you lay the mortar inside of your bricks. What you tell people you're going to do it and do it quickly so that you can have the mortar that builds these bricks and puts them together in a deal or a transaction that you're trying to accomplish. Well, you're not interested in the mindset stuff. You're just interested in, how do I do a deal? How do I make more money? How do I negotiate somebody down on a piece of real estate? How do I pull more out of this transaction than I have to put into this transaction? And the answer to that is, if you're looking for that type of concept around what we're going to be sharing with you today, please hop off the live cast. I'm not here to teach you something that's going to injure somebody else or deceive somebody else. The things that I'm about to share with you, these bricks, are so strong and they're so critical in working through a deal or transaction. Heck, even if you don't have a real estate business and you have a different kind of business, the bricks can be directly applicable to how you're putting a deal together. The next thing that we'd like to look at before not being interested is maybe you're too busy and you don't have time to do every single brick in the process. And I would argue by the end of this show, I hope you understand that you don't have time not to do the process. Following the process of these bricks are going to be critical in helping you achieve your goals, and make sure you don't miss a step in trying to lay the bricks of a strong deal that you're putting together. So let's make sure we have a good foundational understanding of this promise and why this is so important. All right. I've done a previous show before, and I'm not going to go through every aspect of the money mindset, but there are some critical elements of the money mindset. Do you guys remember this? Any of those guys that are on the show right now live, do you guys remember me going through the money mindset? I did 3 different shows on the money mindset that you need to have. And there's 11 different money mindsets that we have to have before we go into a deal and we structure it with the BRICS model. So I need to bring this back up so that you can understand this has to be prevalent in every transaction that you guys are putting together. The first is the abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. What type of mindset do you need to have going into the transaction? An abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? What do you think? Yeah, you said abundance mindset. You're correct. How about investment over expense? So many people are looking at what this is costing them financially, the money, the monetary aspect, but they're not looking at the deal or the relationship or the outcome is an investment. And those are two different things. If you're only worried about expenses, you're going to try to do things as cheap as possible. It's the wrong side of the deal to be on. Money is a tool. Money is a tool. We talked about that in the previous show. How is money a tool whenever it comes to laying the bricks of a relationship? What is money? What does the concept of money do in order to help you achieve your goal? What I'd like you to think about is money as a spiritual thing, and not as a tangible thing. Because maybe I could replace this word, as opposed to money as a tool, is value as a tool. And sometimes our self-worth gets in the way. How we value things gets in the way, not necessarily the tangible resource that I have of money that I'm holding on to, because that concept of money is going to erode. It's going to go away. Money does not have value at all. It only has the value that you give it. And I can prove it to you. There's a gentleman he made international news, who started with a paperclip and traded all the way to a mansion. The only currency he had was the value of the way that he presented the object to the person he was trading it for. And I think it only took 32 trades. You guys got to go back and correct me on the news story, but I think it only took 32 trades for him to end up with a mansion from a paperclip. All right. That story is the essence of understanding money as a tool. It's just an object that allows you to trade for the thing that you want. You got to have some financial literacy. You got to have values aligned spending. Look, if your spending is out of control before you even try to do a deal with somebody else, you can't figure out how to stop spending money just frivolously, not actually getting things that add value to other people's lives, but you're only consuming things for your own life. When your spending's out of control, you're not a good partner to be in business with, to do a deal with at all, period. And that will make your word very difficult to be as solid as a brick whenever you're delivering your conversation with people. You'll be making promises that you can't carry out urgently. Long-term vision. You got to have a long-term vision for the deal. It can't be what you're trying to do in the short term. Diversification. It can't only be one way to look at making money off of a deal. You've got to look through multiple different lenses in order to be able to help you achieve the goal, multiple different markets. Mindfulness and gratitude. Again, as we're laying bricks, remember back to the conversation we had about mindfulness and gratitude. If our mindset, if our promise is the mortar that's going to hold these bricks together, if we're not in a good place, in a good mindful space, it's going to be difficult to utilize these bricks in a positive way that has the outcome you want. You'll be throwing bricks at people versus building your house with bricks, and that's not good. Self-worth versus net worth. Again, self-worth and identity, we talked about a little bit just a few minutes earlier. However, your self-worth is so critical, and that's what's going to drive your net worth, not the value of the property or project that you're buying. Generosity and adaptability, your ability to adapt over different situations. All right. So these are the 11 different money mindsets that we talked about that are imperative for you to know, for you to be able to lay these bricks and these foundational things, the mortar that runs on your promise. All right. So let's talk about building success with bricks. This is a model for real estate investors to achieve the goal. But really, this is a partnership model. This is a model that will help you achieve goals in your life long term. So there's a lot of different lenses through looking at the B.R.I.C.S method. So B in the B.R.I.C.S method stands for building. Building. When you think about a building, what kind of building are you wanting to buy? Are you looking to buy a single family? Are you looking to buy a small multifamily? Are you looking to buy a large apartment community? Everything you do in a transaction, from the way that you speak to people, through the paperwork that you need, through the outcome that you're actually making the purchase. All of that revolves around the building. The building is the structure, is the asset that you're looking to acquire. And you got to start off with the concept of thinking about what style, what kind of asset am I looking to acquire from the very beginning? Because here's the problem. You're going to go out in life and look at a lot of different opportunities if you're not careful. You'll spend your life chasing opportunity and deal after deal that are scattered throughout an unorganized, unattainable structure. You're not going to be putting forth all of the effort to achieve the amount of focus that you need to achieve the acquisition of an asset is going to be scattered, and you're not going to achieve the outcome that you're looking for. The first thing that you need to determine is what is the asset, the building that you're looking to acquire. Sometimes in life, that asset might be another business. Sometimes that asset might be a customer list. Sometimes that asset might be a relationship that you're looking for. But if you have the right mindset, you understand the specific structural building that you're looking for. How old does the building need to be? How new does the building need to be? What condition do you want to find the building in when you're looking for the building? You got to begin with the end in mind by building the right framework for the asset that you're looking to acquire. All right. So you guys understand the first brick, the first letter in the B.R.I.C.S method is building. You got to know what you're going after. The second letter is R in the word B.R.I.C.S, and that is the second step in the method. Is it rentable? Rentable. What is the property's earning potential? Now, guys, remember I told you I'm layering in this whole concept of B.R.I.C.S around property acquisition, but this model can be used for all structures, all deals that you're ever looking to achieve. But you got to know this information before you start even the process of seeking out what you're looking for. This is giving you your quote unquote buy box, what you're trying to achieve or accomplish in a deal. So the R stands for rentable. What is the income potential of the asset? A real estate investment must have a capability to generate income through renting. What is renting? If I could ask you, what does rent mean? If you're watching online, those that are watching online, type in the chat box, what does it mean to rent something? I know I'm taking your mind and shifting it all around thinking about deals, but in the concept of just renting a piece of property or a house or a car, what does it mean to rent? Yeah, exactly. Somebody else owns it. Correct. They lord over it. They own it. And you get the right to use it. Stewardship. You get to steward somebody else's asset. Okay. Now, is the building that you're putting the deal together around, is the asset that you're looking to acquire, can you rent it so somebody else can steward it and give you income for it? That's the second step in the model. Is it rentable? Because all assets must produce income or they're not an asset. They're a liability to you. If it's not producing income, it's a liability. Now, sometimes it's hard to quantify the income that something's producing. Like if you think about the concept of administrative help, somebody that's clicking buttons or doing paperwork for you, sometimes it's hard to mathematically equate the amount of revenue that specific employee is generating that works in your organization. But there's still a tangible number that they free up time that allows you to be able to go achieve specific goals. It's called an overhead cost. So every asset must produce income or it's not an asset, it's a liability. That's why the mindset has to be right in these deals and transactions. All right. You guys get the concept of rentable. Interest in principle. Interest in principle. The interest in principle, the I in the B.R.I.C.S method, and the model that I'm laying out for you, the I represents interest in principle. And this represents the financial obligation tied to your investment, particularly like a mortgage or a loan that you've borrowed. Okay? It particularly represents the financial obligation tied to your investment. Every deal that you're ever going to do is going to require a financial commitment. Every asset that you own, even if you don't have a loan on that property, has a financial obligation and commitment. Do you guys see that? Does it make sense to you? Can you now understand why it's so important that your mindset about money is correct and that you're not always trying to save money, but you're trying to utilize money as a tool to invest in an asset that you're looking to buy? Interest in principle is crucial for managing cash flow and ensuring the investment remains financially viable over the long term of any loan. So what does that mean? That means that you must understand what you're stewarding, what responsibility you have in the transaction, how you're going to utilize that as leverage in order to be able to get the outcome that you're looking to see from the rentable source of the asset that you acquired. B.R.I.C.S. That's the I. All right, now let's look at the next letter in the B.R.I.C.S model. The next letter in the B.R.I.C.S model is C. This is for construction. If you guys were to go out into the community and you were talking with somebody about construction, just think about construction in general, and you were talking about construction, what would you be talking about? Just the word construction. What is it? I'm sure that you would be thinking about renovations, maybe repairs, maybe constructing a building or building a building out of nothing. Yeah, construction. Cosmetic updates, structural updates, complete remodels. This is what we think of when we think of construction. When you're putting a deal together, are you thinking about the construction of the deal? How do you need to add more value in order to get the cash flow so that you can receive the income from the asset that you're purchasing? The construction costs are important, and they're important to factor into every single deal and transaction that you're looking to do. So we're going to focus on the building. What's the cost of the building? What's the age of the building? What shape is the building in? We're going to focus on the rentability of the building. Are we in the right markets? Is this building able to generate income? What is keeping this thing from making the money that it's supposed to make? Sometimes, guys, deals just aren't good deals, and that's okay too. Then you need to look at the interest and the principal to determine what the cash flow is going to be on that project to make sure that it's going to be profitable. You need to understand your financial responsibilities and obligations within the transaction. The C is for the construction aspect. What do you need to put into the deal or the situation? What do you need to invest? What additional resources do you need to bring to the table beyond just the building? And there's always additional resources needed beyond the building because nobody sells. Let me make this very clear on the show today, and I'll stand by this for the rest of my life. Nobody sells a profitable income-producing asset that requires no effort and they get to make all the cash that they ever wanted for the rest of their life. Nobody sells that thing. If that was the case, then in real estate, there would never be a transaction that took place because people would have bought the real estate and held it forever. They're selling it for a reason. And that reason might be the building, the rentability, the interest or principal, the construction, or the key performance indicators. What are key performance indicators? You guys know what key performance indicators are? In the world of business, key performance indicators are the metrics by which you measure success of your investment. They might include things like your cap rates, your cash on cash return, your occupancy rates. They're indicators that makes the investor feel informed about their decision, that they're on track, and that their investment is healthy. So have you defined the key performance indicators in the deal that you're trying to acquire? Do you know what success looks like? Because if you can add value to a piece of property and get the performance that you're looking from the piece of property, then and only then will you have a profitable outcome that you're looking to achieve. What is the additional work might be another way for key performance indicators that's beyond construction that will require to maintain that asset long-term producing cash. And then lastly, the S stands for the sales price. The sales price. Remember, nobody sells something that's making them all this money and all this revenue, and there's no risk involved and there's no work involved. Nobody sells that thing. So you've got to have a sales price in mind. You need to have the sales price in mind before you buy the deal. What are you going to sell it for? What can you take after you get the whole situation done and laid out and understood? What can you take? What value are you going to be able to take out from doing the work that's required in order to get this available, this asset available to somebody else? What is the sales price that you have to buy it at? And what is the sales price that you can sell it for? And that is how you determine the B.R.I.C.S model for a real estate investor. Remember, don't throw these at people. This isn't something that's designed to go out and help you injure so that you can manipulate relationships and get what you want out of them. This is designed for ethical and honest people who have a good understanding that what they promise other people, they're going to follow through on quickly. And when you do that, you will have people beating a door down to get to do business with you. Awesome, guys. So I'm going to talk about the myth of no money down for just a second, because it just seems to me that a lot of people have continued to bring this concept up to me and want to state their opinion on the no money down concept is in contradiction to my opinion. So before I do that, I want to make sure, can you guys now at this point recall the B.R.I.C.S model when evaluating a deal? Would you be able to discuss the B.R.I.C.S model with somebody else and explain to them what's going on? And lastly, will you be able to organize your deals with this B.R.I.C.S model? If you can, then the concept of no money down, you understand, is a complete fallacy. It's a myth. It's a lie. Anybody that's telling you you can buy a deal with no money down, are you buying a deal? You can't buy a deal with no money down. There's always parts of the B.R.I.C.S that you're going to be responsible for. And if your word is supposed to be your bond, anybody that's throwing this concept of no money down towards you, they're really hurtling bricks at you. They're not trying to help you achieve your goals. They're not working together as a partner. They don't match my core values. Do they match your core values? Maybe that's a question. See, every piece of equity, that's the money, the value in a transaction. Every piece of equity that you don't put in is like another missing Jenga block. So it's not how little of money can I put down on a transaction. It's maximum input, maximum output. The amount of value I can put into something is the amount of value that I have available to take out of something later on. In the computer world, a lot of techies will say garbage in to a software system, garbage out, the data that you're able to display and receive. And I will tell you, garbage in equity, garbage out in the ability to make money off of a project. It just doesn't work like that. Investing is stewarding somebody else's resource or stewarding your own resource to generate that long-term rentable income from that piece of property. And the mistake that a lot of people will make is thinking they've got leverage when they've got no equity in a transaction. And it just doesn't work like that. In fact, the way I know this to be true is Proverbs 22:7 says, the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is a slave to the lender. The more debt you have on a deal, the more responsibility you have to somebody else who's the actual steward of that asset. So my question is back on this B.R.I.C.S model. If the borrower is the servant to the lender, where do you fit if you have no money down in a transaction in the B.R.I.C.S model? Which part of this are you? To me, you become is the person rentable. The bank is literally, if it's no money down, is this person capable of generating me income? So you're 100% in a deal going to be the labor, the work when there's no money down. And maybe you're okay with that. You say, hey, I'm going to buy a transaction and I'm going to do all the work. But then you're trading your time for money and you're not really investing in real estate. So don't call yourself a real estate investor trying to buy something with no money down. And with that, I'd like to thank my sponsor for the show today. My second sponsor of the show is BBC Global Services. We utilize BBC Global Services at Red Maples. And what's really cool is they are outsourcing that helps people like you focus on your superpowers. They're simple and on your terms with no term limits and no minimums. And you can get a free consultation for a virtual assistant if you go to www.bbcglobalservices.com. So, to finish up the show today, Michael Korda had this to say. He's a noted editor, novelist, biographer. He was a former editor-in-chief of Simon & Schuster. And he had this to say. Success on any major scale requires you to accept responsibility. In the final analysis, the one quality that all successful people have is the ability to take on responsibility. And in your B.R.I.C.S model, you have a responsibility towards the outcome. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you guys now are able to recall the B.R.I.C.S model. I hope that you're able to discuss with others the B.R.I.C.S model and be able to talk about these things openly and ethically and honestly. I hope you can work through a deal and organize a deal around the B.R.I.C.S model now. Remember back to my book, we talked about a number of weeks ago that I've been working on, Small Multifamily Mastery. And we had a conversation and we talked about the misconception of no risk. The ghost of investment past, unseen risk. Every property carries risk. Understanding and anticipating potential pitfalls is critical for a real estate investor. And lastly, there's no such thing as a zero risk investment. You have to understand the B.R.I.C.S. You need to understand what you're building. And that, Renovation Nation, brings us to the end of another episode. I'm your host, Nathan Bush, your guide on this journey of real estate business growth. Remember, just like plants need the right air, soil, and care, our minds need the right environment to build a life of purpose, passion, and growth. Don't forget to get your citizenship to Mind Renovation Nation. You can do that by subscribing to my YouTube channel, subscribing to my email list, and making sure you share this show with somebody who would be excited and as passionate you are about their real estate business growth. That way, they know that we do this every Friday at noon. And join me next time for more insights, inspiration, and of course, a little bit of that nation-building spirit that drives us to create a community united by shared values, purpose, and a commitment to leaving a lasting legacy. Until then, keep building, keep growing, and let's lead more than 25,000 souls to a life of values-based investing. Our journey in Mind Renovation Nation, we often talk about personal growth, ethical leadership, and making impactful choices. Values-based investing is an extension of that philosophy. It's about being a steward, not only of our finances, but of our values and vision for the future. So I'm signing off from the heart of St. Louis. Guys, stay blessed, stay inspired, and remember, every day is a chance to renovate your mind. See ya.